right. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
Good. Thank you for your time today. So let's start out about talking Selma to Montgomery March. What do you remember about the march?
I remember hearing that it was being put into motion. You didn't really quite understand what it all consists of, but then we had mass meetings, we had church meetings, and as it formulated, then you understood more that was what going to take place
Where were some of the meetings
at different churches.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Uh, little group settings like this in the house, um, in the social places. People was talking about the plans.
Mm-hmm. And so, thinking back to the march, what were what were some of your hopes would be the outcome of the march in Montgomery?
Well, we was hoping to see um, betterment for the black race as a whole. That's what we was, the way we was being treated, the way things, like for instance, at that time, white water fountain, black water fountain.
Mm-hmm.
If it would be in the black restrooms, white restrooms. At that time, white eating counters, black eating counters. We had green money, but we weren't treated like citizens.
Right.
And for us, our schooling, we kind of had the short end of the stick. We secondhand books, if you had books at all. Maybe 2 or 3 would use the same book. We saw that we needed plenty of improvement in our situation.
So, as far as like major transportation, were there buses, cabs? How did people move during that time?
Well, the few that had their own cars, we had a bus system, and you had the same money, but you would drop your money up in the meter. Sometimes you would walk to the back of the bus, but I remember time you dropped your money in the meter, you got back off the bus, and you went round to the back door. Same money now, white folks' money, black folks' money, but the treatment to the back. And then if it got full of white people, you stood up. And if it got that full, you might not even got a chance to ride. People were, the bus system was real popular at that time. And it went all over this city that was in the city limit, like way across town, we call it. But it would be days you stood up all the way to your drop-off point.
Thinking about the journey from Selma to Montgomery, right? It was a powerful demonstration for the need for change. In what ways do you believe the spirit of that march can be utilized today for change?
Well, if you think back, some of them won't even born, but you can read and just have a vision. You got to have a vision. They had a vision. So where's the vision? You got to have a vision today. It says there's always room for improvement. You got to have your mind on improving whatever. Improving your school system, improving your home, improving your committees, like as in committee for your city. Improvement. There's always room for improvement.
Considering the historic significance of the Selma to Montgomery Trail, what comes to mind when you think about this path and how it's utilized by the community today?
Well, one thing about it, it'll help you not forget. Sometimes you forget or you just don't know. And I see we got different little markers. Then we have books with the story in it. We have old newspaper articles with the story in it. You got to read, and then you got to relate to what the oldest one said used to be to what it is now.
So are there any particular areas along the Selma to Montgomery Trail that you have strong feelings about?
I live on the west side of Montgomery, and I have strong feelings about all the west of Montgomery.
What would you advise those who are, doing projects for improvement? How would you advise those individuals to make the improvements? Are there any things that they cannot forget? Are there any things that shouldn't be left out?
Well, I don't think anything should be left out. And like I said, along about now, you got people that actually wasn't born then, but then you have some still present that was there. And I feel a parent, a great grandparent, or aunt should implant the seed into the minds of the younger crowd, show them what we went through.
Knowing the sacrifices and determination involved in the Selma to Montgomery March, what are your thoughts on how the transportation network along this route can better serve the communities today?
For its transportation, and maybe redoing the routes, maybe some styles. I travel, I go in some cities, you got a bus always going south, you got one always going north. Within 45 minutes, you're going to have transportation. You know, you don't have to wait too long. And then it's 24 hours.
To me, what was West Montgomery like before the interstate?
Oh my God. Before the interstate, this was the village. Before the interstate and urban renewal. Don't forget that. Urban renewal was one monster, and the interstate was the second monster. Okay, just look on this street here. Actually, I'm the fourth house.
So that lot is vacant.
Yeah, everything's vacant all the way back down.
And the other, yeah, they're vacant.
I'm the fourth house right here. And I arrived in the year of 1949, and most everybody on this street, and here it kind of got to be devastating. You had some streets where generations had lived in these houses, and you could kind of think they were rental houses because some of them just like the same color, but then some of them was you owned that house, your auntie owned this house, but when that urban renewal came through, then you found out.
Did you see that a lot in Montgomery?
Yeah, down Oak Street, they had what you call the greenhouses. Well, wipe them out. Then you had some houses down Oak Street, wipe this end of Oak Street, both ends of Oak Street. This was a 3-bedroom house right here. They tore it down. They went to Western Hill. We had our own. We had a bakery up there. We had barber shop, beauty shops. We had what you call cafes.
So what do you have now compared to what you had then in close proximity?
Nothing. Now, it was a long time before we had lights down there. You took your chance getting across the street.
Nothing. What would you like to see?
Well, I would like to see more improved social-wise, or business-wise. We had our own cleaners. I would like to see restaurants here. I would like to see us have a drugstore here. And when I say here, I'm referring to our section of the neighborhood. You know, instead of other sections.
I heard the West Side used to be bustling.
It wasn't no used to be. It was bustling. We had our own barbecue places. I mean, we had a little small town.
That pride and the values that you have, how can that be instilled in our current legislators and our community members to keep the West Side thriving?
Well, the residents gonna have to have an input. Now, if someone lived down West Hollow somewhere, East Hollow, they may not have concerns about the West Side. The residents of the West Side gonna have to start it off first. And then you're gonna have to put folks' voice. You're gonna have to have voice about what you want for your community. And let them know you're serious about improvements for your community. But as a whole, this is home. Now, don't you misunderstand. I could have been done moved, but I ride around, I be everywhere. And I'm happy here on the West Side. I don't plan on going nowhere until I get in the chariot. Roll me out.